Hey guys, welcome to our YouTube channel once more. So today we are going to be looking at the ACT October Test 2022, the Maths Without Calculator section. Of course, in this section you have 20 questions to answer in 25 minutes. So we are going to be going as fast as we can, and then the places where we need to explain, of course, we are going to explain, but we are going to be showing you how to answer the various questions if you were in the ACT relative to when you are doing your practice section. So we hope that you use this video as a practice session where you can always get engaged, pause the video when the question is displayed, and attempt solving it your own way before playing it to verify how we've done it. Let's dive right in. Okay guys, so just before we dive in, we hope you consider, of course, liking the video, subscribing, and then turning on that notification bell so that you don't miss any other uploads from our channel. All right, now we can dive in. All right, so the first question goes, the line models the relationship between body weight and foot length of a group of infants. Based on the model, what is the predicted weight in kilogram of an infant with a foot length of 9 centimeters? All right, so what you really want to do is, this is our foot length, this body weight. So we're actually going to notice here that you have 4, 6, 8, 10. So 9 centimeters will be somewhere between 8 and 10. So you're going to come here, this is our 9 centimeters, and dot all the way up here. So you read off the corresponding body weight value, which is about 7 kilograms. So our answer here is B. Line segment AC has a length of 120 and contains a point B. If AB is equals to that and BC is equals to that, which equation shows the relationship between the length of line segment AB, BC, and AC? Alright, so what we want to do is, of course, AB plus BC must be the entire length of AC. So we're actually going to get, what is our AB is 5x plus 20, and then add that to BC, which is 6x minus 20. That gives you the entire length AC. So our answer is D. Okay, so what is the solution of x comma y to the given system of equations? So clearly our x is already 4, right? So we just pick out that value and then we plug it inside the second equation, which basically gives us y equals 4 over 4, which is 1 plus 2, which is 3. So in the form x comma y, our solution is actually going to be x 4 comma 3, which is B. Alright, so the next question says the function f is defined by f of x equals that. What is the graph of y equals f of x? So the very first thing is that you notice that f of x is written in the form y equals mx plus c, where we can clearly see that the slope of our f of x is 2, intercept the y-axis is actually 6. We can correlate that. Alright, so let's just correlate this expression to our f of x. So you notice m is that, c is that. So this tells us that the graph of f of x has to go cut the y-axis at the point y equals 6. Now A does that, C does that, B and D are already off. So the slope tells us that, of course, f of x has to be a rising line. So A clearly is the only rising line here, right? So boom, our answer is A. The graph of the quadratic function f is shown where y equals f of x. Which of the following could be the graph of y equals f of x plus 2? Alright, so what happens is, if I have a function y equals f of x like this, and I want to plot y equals f of x plus 2, what I'm basically going to be doing is I'm going to be shifting this function 2 units upwards. Alright, so yeah, so basically the new values of y now are bigger than those for f of x by 2, right? So the graph basically shifts 2 units upwards in the positive direction of y. So most likely we are going to have this as a result, because the graph to the right is the same, so it does not shift. Either you don't shift this graph to the right or to the left when you're adding particular or subtracting particular number from f of x. Okay, so what you do is you either shift it upwards if you're adding, or you shift it downwards if you're subtracting. Now if you're going to find, instead of f of x plus 2 like this, we rather find f of x plus 2 inside here. So if we are getting x plus 2 in here, then we'll have to shift this graph 2 units to the left instead. If we're getting f of x minus 2 in here, then we're going to be shifting the graph 2 units to the right. Alright, so yeah, this guy is most likely talking about rather getting f of x plus 2 in here, and then this guy is reversing, so this guy is already completely off. This guy has moved to the left again. It basically can be talking about one of these guys, maybe f of x minus 4 now. All right, so the only right answer here is A. Function cure is defined by cure of x equals that where x an integer. What is the value of cure of 6? Okay, so you notice that I've already displayed the answer down here. All right, so what our first thing you have to notice is that cure of x is actually an oscillating function that oscillates between -5 and 5. It's going to be -5 whenever x is odd, and it's going to be +5 whenever x is even. Notice that, right? So that cure of 6 means that x is actually even here, then our function is just going to be 5. Okay, which value is a solution to the given equation? All right, so very first thing you notice is that x minus 4 here is a removable discontinuity. So this x minus 4 can basically go away with this x minus 4, so that we actually have x to be -2 as our answer. But a student who actually takes x to be +4, this function can actually take x equals 4, because of course at x equals 4 the function is discontinuous. I need you to notice that. All right, means that x equals 4 is a vertical asymptote to this function like that, but it's a removable discontinuity. That's what we call it. So but the function cannot take x equals 4. All right, that's why you can always just cancel out like this, and then x equals -2. So our best answer here is actually D. So what is an equation of the graph shown? All right, so this is a quadratic equation, so we can clearly read the vertex of this quadratic curve. The vertex actually going to be a point x comma x equals 6 comma y equals 4, right? So that's basically 6 comma 4. So if the vertex of a quadratic function y is h comma k, then we can write the quadratic function as a into x minus h, or that squared, plus k, right? So our f of x, we're just going to apply that on f of x. So our h here clearly is 6, our k is 4. So we're going to have a into x minus 6, or that squared, plus 4. You clearly see that you have no other equation here that says x minus 6 except c, right? No option that says x minus 6 except c. So clearly c is already our answer without having to calculate for e, right? So we're just going to go ahead. So on the ACT, I would just pick c without calculating for this a, right? So but for the case of revision, or for the sake of revision, we're just going to go ahead and calculate what a is going to be. So what are we going to do to get a? We're going to come over here. This is our x equals 4. Remember that the quadratic function catch the x-axis at the point y equals 0. So we're now going to say that 0 equals a into this plus 4, right? So our a is -1, so f of x is this. So our answer is C. In the figure shown, triangle ABC is similar to triangle ADE such that B corresponds to D and C corresponds to E. The measure of angle ABC is 60 degrees. What is the measure of angle ADE? Alright, so very straight to the point, right? So this triangle ABC is similar to the triangle ADE. So they've actually given us the angle B here. The angle B here is 60 degrees. So the angle D over here is also going to be 60 degrees, right? Corresponding angles, similar triangles. Perfect. So the answer clearly is just D, but if you want to prove that, so in the ACT you don't have to solve this, you just pick out the answer is D, right? So but if you have to solve this and show that, of course you have to go through some really cool trigonometric expressions and then relationships, and then you of course using the sine rule. So I've actually taken out time to show it, right? The ratio of AB to AD is always the same as the ratio of BC like this to DE, which is equals to AC to AE. Of course, our AC is 4, right? And then our AE is just 1 here. So we can go ahead and then form these relationships. And then, of course, use the sine rule. And then, yeah, do some nice things. So yeah, that's just the sine rule, and then yeah, doing some really good things, finding sine A for the big triangle, and then finding sine A for the smaller triangle, and then using equation 1 and equation 2 to get the corresponding angle D. So you notice that our sine D will be sine 60, which means that D is also 60 degrees. But this is like the proof, right? That this, if corresponding triangles like this would have, or perhaps similar triangles like this, corresponding angles will be equal, right? So this is the proof. Okay, but of course you don't have to do all of this work in the ACT. Alright guys, so let's move on to the next. Our answer here is actually D. The graph models the relationship between the area of rainforest A in square Mars and the predicted number of flowering plant species B found in the area. what equation represents this relationship? Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is that, of course, the area and the area of rainforest, and of course the predicted number of flowering plant species, they have a linear relationship between them. So what you really want to do is, of course, come out with the equation of the straight line. Clearly you see that it goes through the origin, so you the intercept in the y-axis is just 0, right? So we just need to get the slope here, really. So we need to get a point that corresponds, right? So now look at this point over here on this line. So the area coordinate, or the x coordinates, right, is actually 40, and then the p coordinates are actually 15,000. So we can actually get 15,000 divided by 40. That's the slope, right? Rise over run. So 15,000 over 40, that's about, okay, so 15,000 over 40, that's about 375, right? You don't remember, it's maths without calculator, so you have to do all of that punch in your head. So that's about 375. So it means that our equation for p is actually going to be p equals the slope, which is 375, multiplied by x, which is in this case just a. Perfect. Plus 0, since the intercept in the y-axis is 0. So our answer here is B. Yeah, that's how you get the slope, and then our answer is B. Alright, so this one says if P equals to 2, if P is 2 over n plus 3, the given equation relates the numbers P and N, where of course, which equation correctly expresses N in terms of P. Alright, so this is our expression, so we can actually go ahead. So what I've done is actually subtracted both, like 3 on both, from both sides, and then we actually have 2 over n to be p minus 3, and then we basically just make n the subject by doing half cross multiplication. So this n comes this way, and then this p minus 3 comes down this way. So we actually have our n that way. So our answer is C. In the given system of equations, P is a constant. The system has no solution. What is the value of P? Oh, if the system has no solution, then of course these two lines must be parallel, so they must have equal slopes. So P must be 3. So perfect. Our answer is D. Which of the following expressions is equal to the given expression where x greater than 0 and y equals greater than or equal to 0 too? Alright, so we just need to expand this. So we're going to have root x into root x plus root y. That's going to give us, of course, root x into root x gives us x. Root x into root y is square root of xy, right? So our answer is A. Joe was asked to memorize a list of 200 vocabulary words, and he was assessed of this memorization of the words over 3 days. On day 1, he remembered all 200 words. On each of the next 2 days, Joe remembered 10% fewer words than he did the preceding day. How many words did Joe remember on day 3? Alright, so notice that he remembers 10% fewer words. So that actually means that let's just solve this in 2 ways, right? So method 1 says what's remembered on day 1 is 200. Now, what's remembered on day 2? Remember that he remembers 10% fewer words. So the total number of words that he remembers is basically 90% of the previous, which 90% of course in decimal is 0.9 multiplied by 200. So he remembers 180 words the following day. Now the third day, what's remembered on third day would be 90% of the words remembered the previous day, which is basically 180. So you have 0.9 multiplied by 180. So that gives you 160. Remember, this is maths without calculator, so you are going to have to do this in your head. So how do you do that? So this is like 18 times 9 basically, right? So you can basically say 18 times 10, which gives you 180, minus 18, which gives you 162. All right, so method 2, what's remembered on x day. So on any given day x, right, remember 200 to 0.9 x minus 1. So on day 1, remember that if day 1, so x is actually 1, we have 1 minus 1 here gives us 0, 0.9, which actually gives us 1, so remember it's 200 watts. On day 2, you are going to have x to be 2, 2 minus 1, so you are going to have 200 times 0.9, which gives us 180. On day 3, you are going to have x minus 1, which gives us 2. Then you square 0.9, 0.9 into 0.9 gives us 0.81. 81 multiplied by 200 gives us 81 times 2, which is about 162, right? Good. So yeah, you can solve in any way, and you still have the answer to be B. In the xy plane, the graph of the given equation is a circle. What is the length of the radius of the circle? All right, so we're going to also solve this in two ways. So method one actually knows. Let's use our equation. This is our equation. So we're just going to get the constant, or we're going to take away 32 on both sides, so that we actually be left with just the variables on one side of the equation. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to complete the squares here, right? So we're going to complete the squares. So we have x squared minus 16x plus half the coefficient of this or that squared, which gives us 8 squared, right? Now complete the square with this y2, so you're going to have y squared minus 4y plus half the coefficient of this guy or that squared. Remember that you'll be adding, so I'm adding, remember that I'm adding this 2 squared and 8 squared, so I'm also going to do the same on the other side of the equation. I'm adding 8 squared plus 2 squared too, right? So that I keep everything unchanged. So what you notice is that these first three terms, x squared minus 16x plus 8 squared, it's actually forms a perfect square, right? So that square is actually x minus 8, or that squared, plus so these first three terms, also these three terms like this, actually also form a perfect square. So you have y minus 2, or that squared gives you this. So equals, so we have 64 here plus 4 minus 32, which gives us 36. Well, 36 is about 6 squared. So you have actually written the equation in the form x minus a, or that squared, plus y minus b, or that squared, equals r squared. So the radius here is basically just 6. The center of the circle is basically x equals 8 comma y equals 2. All right, so that's method 1. So we can go over to solving method 2, which is basically going to be rearranging the coefficients of x and y such that we can actually factor out -2 like this. So we factor out -2, right? What is left basically gives us the coordinate of the center of the circle. So the x coefficient, right, in fact the -2x coefficient, which is basically 8, and the -2y coefficient is 2, so the center of our circle is actually 8 comma 2, and the radius of the circle of course would be, now the coordinate of the center squared minus this constant term. So we have 8 squared plus 2 squared minus constant term square root, so we actually have r root to be 6. So either way it gives you answer to be B. Alright, so we are heading over to the SAT Maths Without Calculator section titled Grading In. So in this section, you don't have the luxury of multiple choice options, so you're actually solving the problem and then you're grading in the answer. Alright, let's go. So we have absolute value of 2x equals 64, what positive value of x satisfy the given equation. So clearly we have to define what absolute value function is. So absolute value of 2x simply means that that function is 2x for all 2x greater than or equal to 0. So the question says what positive value of x. So of course we are going to be using absolute value of 2x to just be 2x if we are looking for a positive value of x, right? All right, so to continue the definition of absolute value function, so absolute value of 2x again is also -2x for all 2x less than 0. So we are looking for what negative value of x satisfy the equation. Then we are going to be letting this absolute value of 2x to just rather be -2x, right? So in this case we are looking for positive value, so we are going to use this. So 2x has to be 64, and then our x has to be 32. So our answer is 32. So you are going to grade that in, right? Okay, the equation of line K is this. What is the slope of a line that is parallel to line K in the XY plane? So if a line is parallel to this line, of course, we expect that it has they have the same slope, right? So parallel lines have same gradients. Two perpendicular lines with gradients M1 and M2 have this other relationship, over the relationship M1 equals -1/M2. So our y is actually 7x plus 2. So a line that is parallel to this guy would actually have slope to be 7. 18. If 2/3 p plus 4 equals 10, what is the value of 3p? All right, so the very first thing you want to do is get p, make p the subject here. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides, so we're going to be left with 2/3 p to be equals to 6, and then our p is just going to be 9, right? But look, remember that we're looking for 3p, so 3p is going to be 27. So our answer is, you're going to, if the expression is rewritten in the form this, where a, b, c, d, e are constants, what is the value of d? Now I want you to notice something. It's a very quick way of solving this. So d is the coefficient of x squared term. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to look for how I can get the x squared term. Now this 3x squared, when it multiplies with this 5, I'm going to have an x squared term, so it gives us 15x squared. Now this x here, like that, when it multiplies with this negative 6x, is going to give me negative 6x squared. So I'm going to have negative 6x squared and 15x squared added, which gives me 9x squared. So my value for D is just 9. So I'm just like reading the answer without necessarily solving. But if you have to solve, then you have to go and expand this expression. So I've expanded, and then you can barely read out the coordinates. So the our A here will just be 3 here, and then our B would be 1, right? So our answer is 9, of course. Okay guys, so this next question says the figure shows the mast of a boat that is installed perpendicular to the deck of the boat. The mast is secured by a rope that is anchored to the deck. The rope measures 17 feet long and makes an angle of x degrees with the mast. The point where the rope is attached and the mast is 15 feet above the deck. What is the value of tan x degrees? All right, for us to get that, of course, notice that we can apply Pythagoras theorem here, where we're going to get 17 squared, of course, equals 15 squared plus the b squared. But the problem is, this is math without calculator, so you're going to have to know 17 squared in your head. So let's just go quickly from 11 squared. 11 squared is 121, 12 squared is 120, 144. 13 squared is 169, 14 squared is 196, 15 squared is 225, 16 squared is 256, 17 squared is 289, 18 squared is 324, 19 squared is 361. Of course, you have to keep that in head just in case for the ACT, right? So we are going to get 17 squared here minus 15 squared, which approximately gives us 64. So I'm just going to very quickly do that down here. So we have 17 squared equals that. So our b squared is 64. Our b is 8. So of course, to get tan, right, tan x degrees will be, of course, opposite over adjacent, which is 8 over 15, and that is our answer. Guys, thank you for watching the video to the very end. So top right of your screen is our vision for YouTube. We want to use YouTube to entertain people with the beauty of science, inspire higher dimensions of scientific love, make mathematics and physics so fun to learn, promote creative thinking and scientific reasoning, foster speed, accuracy, and precision in problem solving, unleash the next generation of problem solvers. So bottom right of your screen is our contact and of course my personal contact. So if you want to reach out, just reach down there and reach out. Thank you so much.